Hello. If you're in UK, the man near you doesn't need an introduction. He's Barry Street, and I am in the astrology shop. Um, and I'm here to basically talk to Barry about the shop and the future of actual paperback reading in the astrology community. Barry, thanks for agreeing.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, first, tell me about your background and how did you get into this?
Well, back in, it would have been 1985, Robert Curry, the astrologer who set up the shop, before the shop opened in 1989, but in 1985 I started working for Robert at Mind, Body, Spirit festivals, selling his range of computer-generated horoscopes. And then at a date that he chose, astrologically obviously, in 1989, on the 2nd of November, the shop opened. And Robert continued the shop until really Amazon killed the book market.
Oh.
And we used to have people flying from all over the world and leave with suitcases of books.
Right.
And Robert didn't have the passion to diversify out of astrology.
Right.
So I took over the shop in 2001,
Okay.
and Robert continued with his astrological work on the Isle of Man.
Okay. So that's basically the beginning.
That's the beginning.
So the shop has ever been only here since then?
Yeah, it's been here ever since '89.
Okay. When did you decide to diversify actually from astrology books to other things like?
It was around kind of 1999, 2000, when Amazon first got into the marketplace. The sales of books just fell.
Okay.
And that affected the whole profitability of the business.
Yeah. So the sale of the printed or paperback books got affected because of the online selling. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. But so again, the e-books and other things are also further affecting the sale of this paperback books. But how has the paperback books stayed still?
They've like with the start of ebooks and readers, like every bookseller, we had a fair, but actually, like half of the books that we sell are astrological, and sales have increased, not decreased.
Okay.
And if anything, we've had people who've bought the ebook first, and then they come and buy the book.
Right.
So touching wood, but the sales of books have actually increased.
Oh, that's good.
Which is
so, and that is coming from an actual person who's there in the book. So I think that's a very authentic statement, because what at least I, as an outsider who buys books and reads, has always thought that this actual paperback idea, or the idea of reading books, has itself gone down. So if you take my previous generation, like, or even before starting from Robert Hand, and then some middle-aged astrologers, and then coming to today's modern people like myself, people have started switching over to Kindle and other things, and reading itself is a long shot in today's. So, but it's quite refreshing to know that paperback sales has increased. So, is it only related to astrology, or it is related to other occult?
No, it's across the range that the book sales have stayed, and nobody's more relieved than the book reps who come around, they've actually got a job, whereas 10 years or 15 years ago they thought they thought their job would be ended.
Right.
But it's still it's vibrant here in London. Yeah,
I see the shop is quite busy always. So even if it is not just for astrology, there are so many other things which we can just get back and see what other things do you have apart from astrology book. But coming back to astrology books as it is, so in the UK, I see that Vedic astrology books have are not much here, and not much traditional astrology. I see Chris Brennan's book there, but apart from that, it looks like there is little less traditional astrology. So, is there a reason? Maybe it's because of the still it is still booming in terms of people are still trying to get into traditional astrology in the UK, or it is just that people are bluntly interested only.
No, no. Sadly, the cabinet I'm sat next to is quite new, and so it inhibits access to this right hand column. But this right hand column uh, 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 is full of the books that you'd only buy if you knew what you were buying,
Right.
Uh, and Hellenistic astrology and traditional astrology. It sells well.
Oh, okay,
And we can afford to hide it in the corner because people know what they're looking for,
that's great.
type thing. Vedic astrology, it's a sadness because if we went back 15 years, the manager at the time was trained in Vedic astrology, and we had a whole section on Vedic astrology. And at that time, BRAVA, the British Association of Vedic
Right.
Astrologers,
Yeah.
used to hold regular evening classes.
Okay.
And because she knew the subject, and because we had students coming in, it was commercially viable. But when she started a family and left, one is that we don't understand the language that we're talking, so we don't know, we don't know the content of the books. And then the school went online, and the market disappeared. But it's a shame. But other than the basics of, the really basic starting books, Vedic astrology allude to me. You might as well be speaking Greek. Well, Greek, but literally, yeah.
Correct. I see Komila Sutton's book here, but I think, as you mentioned, Vedic astrology has always intimidated the Western community, although it's quite prominent in the United States of America. So I think it still needs to gain legs in the UK as it is. On the other hand, one of the other things that I wanted to discuss with you is, like, you have diversified from Tara. But before we go there, so there are very prominent astrologers from United Kingdom like Liz Green, and so their influence in the astrological community across generations has always been a very important and a significant thing as far as the younger astrologers go. So do you think that is one of the reasons why modern astrology is always booming in the UK? I mean, in terms of book sales.
Oh, I think it's across the range because Liz Green. We still sell copies of her Saturn book,
Yeah.
and that's got to have been, written 40 years ago.
Right.
But on the other hand, there is also, like I think of Frank Clifford's books,
Yeah.
and they're written in a very modern way,
Correct.
and he's bringing in a younger audience.
Right.
But I do think that, I think it's a mixture. But some of the classics, they're just, like you say, the Robert Hands, the Planets in Transit.
Yes.
So, they've stayed on the shelf since the day we've opened, and it's remarkable. It's just, and when you talk about Hellenistic astrology, it's like, Christian astrology is still the textbook on Hori astrology, and that's 350 years. There aren't many subjects where you could write a textbook, and 350 years the students are still using your textbook.
I think that's one of the most important things. Like, William Lilly's Christian astrology has always been this initial gateway into traditional astrology for the astrologers in the UK, and so Lilly's Christian astrology always flies right here. So that's one of the good things. So apart from astrology, so what are the other important things that you concentrate in this shop in terms of apart from astrology books?
The two main other sections would be the minerals, the crystals, and the tarot section.
Right.
And it was interesting, like it when Carl Jung's Red Book came out, and the Big Red Book, and it showed that Carl Jung had interest in tarot and in crystals. I had customers who previously would be what we'd call the left-hand row customers, the people who buy the academic books, coming in asking if they could have a really beginner's book on crystals or on tarot, because they'd never looked at them. And then after the Red Book, they start to look at them, and so lo and behold, astrology and the crystals and the tarot, kind of the intermingling of them all, is more natural than I think some people suppose.
That's great. So,
but then Vedic astrology has a huge tradition of jewels and linking the two.
Yeah, the gemstones and crystals have always gone in line with Vedic astrology. At least for some Vedic astrologers, it's been an important component.
Very important part.
Yeah. So, the relation to astrology and crystals is also enabling the importance of crystals and your diversification into other items apart from books, right?
Yeah.
So
though it was forced by commercial necessity, but it's actually a joy.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad it's this way now. I would never put it back as it was.
Sure. I think that's basically what I wanted to hear from you.
Good.
So thank you so much.
No, thank you indeed. Thank you indeed.
Real pleasure.
I should tell you one other story.
Yeah, please go on.
When we first came in, like back in '89, there's a Sikh-owned restaurant next door, and the owner of the restaurant came and introduced himself. And he said, I hope you don't find this rude, but I don't think we'll be using your services. My family have had the same heritage of astrologers in India for 600 years. So when you're not so new, we'll come back to you, but we're just going to trust the ones my family have used for the last 600 years. So it's not normally this difficult to reach, but this column is for the more studious astrologer, if you like. This is where you'll find books that just aren't going to sell to a person who doesn't know what it is that they're buying. And we have the modern versions of Hellenistic astrology and books by, Astrology for All, but it's Alan Leo to whom we owe so much in the UK for our astrological tradition. Ooh. But there's a monument of astrological books. I don't know really what books are. But I haven't got them in great order at the moment. But they vary across all of the subjects. Medical astrology is there'll be medical astrology, there'll be financial astrology, there'll be some pretty niche astrology that people enjoy. We don't do a lot of work on the lunar nodes in the West, but the editor of our astrological journal has brought in Draconic astrology, which is based on uses the node, and that's his book on the Draconic charts. We have technical things as well, of course. You'll have all of the books. These don't sell like they used to in the pre-computer days, but they're lovely. And for astrologers, I think these beat computers. If you want to get the information, you'll get out the book in half the time that it will take you to use a computer. It's all a lot safer in the book. And then we move to New Age bestsellers, which can vary between books that, I don't know where to begin really. There are lots and lots of books that are just kind of classics of the New Age industry. That's all. They start them young sometimes. No harm in starting young. And then the next biggest section will be the tarot section, and tarot is becoming increasingly popular. And there is although I can't put my hand on it. There are obvious links between the two.
Right.
The crossovers happen.
Can we do this?
The range of tarot cards always amazes me. These are oracle cards, but there's considering each artist has to commit to 78 images, there's a huge range of cards, of which if I find them, I should find some of the more astrological ones.
Yeah. I think we can switch over there. That's it. And that's it.
It's a beautiful movie. We sell a vast range of minerals, of what we call tumble stones or semi-precious gems, and traditionally, it's like everything. Every mineral has to be ruled by one of the 7 visible planets, and they are used not in the same precise way in Vedic astrology, but in the Western tradition, there are associations between stones and planets. So Jupiter would have a traditionally sodalite, for example, would be the Jupiterian stone, and you'd carry that with you if that's the energy you wanted to enhance. But the range is huge. And then there are those who prefer their crystals in the raw state, but again the tradition is held between each of them, is ruled by a ruling planet. So in that we give, like, amethyst is Jupiterian, so it goes to Sagittarius and Pisces, for example. We take the things from lots of different variants.
I think that should be good.
Maybe I'll just...
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
And then there's palmistry, and there's a good palmistry school in London, and palmistry is growing, although I must admit I know nothing of it myself, but palmistry is also growing.